So now let's see the output or balance sheet of glycolysis. So let's study this balance sheet of glycolysis with respect to formation of ATP, formation of water, how many water molecules are formed, and carbon dioxide formation. So why we have to study this balance sheet with respect to ATP formation, water formation, and carbon dioxide formation? Because actually what happens during aerobic respiration is nothing but it involves the breakdown of this substrate. Most favored substrate is glucose. So C6H12O6 plus 6 molecules of oxygen, aerobic respiration will be completely undergoing breakdown into 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, and energy is released. Large amount of energy is released in the form of heat energy. Now that heat energy is trapped inside the cell for the formation of, and it is stored inside the cell in the form of ATP, NADH plus H plus, and it is also stored in the form of FADH. So ATP is called energy currency of the cell. In the previous video also we discussed about it. Energy currency of the cell. That means whenever the cell is in need of ATP, the energy which is stored in the form of ATP can be utilized by the cell to perform other energy requiring process. Whereas NADH2 and FADH2 which are stored inside the cell, these two forms of energy cannot be utilized by the cell, and hence now this NADH2 and FADH2 undergoes breakdown or oxidation for the formation of ATP through what? Through a metabolic pathway called ETS. So we are studying balance sheet of glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and even anaerobic respiration with respect to the formation of carbon dioxide, water, and energy, that is in the form of ATP. Okay, now let's study ATP formation first in balance sheet of glycolysis. So ATP is formed by SLP. SLP is substrate level phosphorylation or direct formation of ATP. How many molecules of ATP will be formed? 4 molecules of ATP, because the substrate level phosphorylation occurs at 7th step and 10th step. At 7th step 2 ATP and at 10th step 2 ATP. So totally 4 ATPs by SLP. Now oxidative phosphorylation. By means of oxidative phosphorylation, totally 6 ATPs will be formed. So oxidative phosphorylation, where it occurs? It occurs at 6th step, which results in the formation of 2 molecules of NADH plus H plus. NADH plus H plus. So what happens? Why it is called oxidative phosphorylation? Let's study. Okay, so how this ATP will be formed? Through this NADH plus H plus. So just now we discussed that the NADH2 which is formed is the energy which is stored in the form of NADH2 cannot be, or FADH2 cannot be utilized by the cell directly, and hence this NADH2, that is NADH plus H plus, undergoes breakdown through ETS, breakdown or oxidation through ETS, oxidation through ETS. So after oxidation, what will be released from this NADH to NADH plus H plus? Protons and electrons. 2 protons and 2 electrons will be released. These 2 electrons are transferred to nascent oxygen through ETS. Finally, they are transferred on to nascent oxygen, half O2. Because this is aerobic respiration, half O2. So after receiving 2 electrons, this half O2 consumes 2 protons from mitochondrial matrix and it is reduced into 1 water molecule. It is reduced into 1 water molecule. Now coming to protons. So the protons which are released from NADH plus H plus are accumulated in intermembrane space, resulting in the formation of proton motive force. This proton motive force is required for the synthesis of ATP, which results in the synthesis of ATP. So these 2 protons are accumulated in intermembrane space of mitochondrion, which results in the development of proton motive force, PMF, which helps in the synthesis, or which is required for the synthesis of ATP. So like this, ATP will be formed and water will be formed when NADH plus H plus or FADH2 undergoes oxidation through ETS. So when one molecule of NADH2 undergoes oxidation through ETS, it results in the formation of 1 water molecule and 3 ATPs. 3 ATPs. So this water molecule which is formed through this metabolic pathway by the oxidation of NADH2 is called as now metabolic water. Now this is called as metabolic water. Metabolic water. Whereas these three ATPs are formed by what? Oxidative phosphorylation. What is phosphorylation? Synthesis of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate is called as phosphorylation. Here it is called as oxidative phosphorylation because the synthesis of ATP is taking place due to the oxidation of NADH or FADH. That is called as oxidative phosphorylation, which occurs in the final step of aerobic respiration. That we'll be studying in the next forthcoming videos. That is this formation of ATP by the oxidation of NADH2 or FADH2 I will explain in detail while explaining about ETS. Okay, now let's come back to this oxidative phosphorylation. So in this oxidative phosphorylation, actually through glycolysis, how many NADH2s are formed? 2 NADH2s or 2 NADH plus H plus are formed. One molecule of NADH plus H plus forms how many ATPs? 3 ATPs. So totally how many ATPs are formed? 6 ATPs. So total number of ATPs formed through glycolysis are 10. Among these total 10 ATPs, how many ATPs are used up? 2 ATPs are used up. Where they are used? In the first step and third step. In the first step and third step, phosphorylation occurs. There 2 ATPs are used. So as 2 ATPs are used, what is the net gain of ATP? 8 ATPs net gain of glycolysis. Next, coming to water formation. So by direct formation of water, that is by dehydration, 2 water molecules are released. What is this dehydration? Where it occurs? It occurs at 9th step. 2 water molecules are formed. So how many metabolic water molecules are formed? 2 metabolic water molecules are formed because there is a formation of 2 NADH2. 1 NADH2 is equals to 1 metabolic water, which I explained here. So totally 2 metabolic water molecules are formed. Totally how many water molecules are formed? 4 more water molecules are formed. Among these 4 water molecules, how many water molecules are used up? 2 water molecules are used up. Where they are used? In the 6th step in the form of H3PO4. So 2 water molecules are used up. So net gain of water molecules through glycolysis is 2 water molecules. So now coming to carbon dioxide formation, release of carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide release does not occur during glycolysis. There is no decarboxylation and even there is no carboxylation. So there is no formation of carbon dioxide through glycolysis. But in aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide will be released. Where from? It will be released from next steps which occur after glycolysis, that is oxidative decarboxylation, and through Krebs cycle this carbon dioxide will be released. So this is about the output or balance sheet of glycolysis. In the next video I will be explaining about the regulation or control of glycolysis, which is catalyzed by the enzyme phosphofructokinase, which is also called as pacemaker enzyme of glycolysis. Hope you understood, students. Thank you.